So as mentioned in my Q&A, I'm out here on a hiking pole test run here, hiking out the legs less than 24 hours after I raced the half marathon. Quite a bit of vert, and for the purposes of this run today, quite a bit of descent in that race. I was super pumped. I got 5th overall out of probably close to 2,000 runners. Dropped 4 minutes from my time from last year, which is incredible. I can't believe I did that well yesterday. I got a bunch of data, test stuff, some clips from not the race, but before and after. Probably gonna put together a recap, analyzing, how I feel about what went down, my training that went into it, and then kind of my thoughts going forward into my next race and the rest of the season. So I'm not going to talk about too much about the race today. I will be testing out these poles I got on my shoulder. I got the Komperdell poles here. I'm wearing my Instinct vest because I wanted to try out the dual quiver again, kind of get used to it, using my left and right arms, kind of the most optimal way to pull out the poles, deploy them, stow them again. So I want to work on that with this vest because I'm thinking about racing this vest in 2 weeks up at Heaven's Gate. Talked about that in my last Q&A too. Just see how it goes. I mean, and also these poles, being that they self-deploy under tension, just earlier I was kind of like practicing getting them in and out. I have this one in unstrapped, so it's kind of like under opening tension inside this quiver. This one I strapped up before I put in there, so that one's easier to get in and out. But I didn't have any problems, without using that Velcro strap to tie them together to hold the 3 sections together. Didn't have any problems kind of stowing that and putting it away in there. I don't know if that's easier because these are single quivers, 1 pole in each holster here. If I had 2 that I didn't use those Velcro strips to kind of hold the sections together, so that would be 6 sections kind of wanting to pop open inside maybe a quiver that holds 2 poles. That might be different. So that'll be another test run with a different vest where I kind of try that scenario out. But for now, I guess with 1 pole in each. I haven't done this on the run yet. This is actually the first time I set up these poles in these 2 ergo quivers back here, or the ergo quiver, whatever it's called, whatever they name it. 2 separate holsters, each for a single pole from Instinct here. So it's the first time I'm trying it with these poles, and I just ran a little loop up around there just to kind of shake the legs out a little. But now I'm feeling the downhill from that race yesterday. Definitely, I don't know, I'm gonna hike up, see how that goes for sure. Go this way, go that way. I think hiking won't bother my legs too much on the way up, but I have to see about, if I want to come down less steep, I have to run way back there, and then it's a little more gradual, or maybe I just, take my time on the way back down, and that won't be too painful on the leg. Well, let me see. I do want to try getting these straps. These are similar to the Lakey strap, but it has a bigger loop here. The Lakey has a very small one, and the trigger to get it in is on this side of the pole. This one is larger, and you have to loop it over the front. So I haven't done that yet on the run. This is actually probably one of the first times I did it in the house. So that seemed pretty, it's a little looser here. The Lakey one with the smaller loop, you're tighter on the pole. So I don't know, with this one you can't fully let go because then it's maybe hanging a lot. We'll see. But I think it's easier to get on and off than the Lakey one. Sometimes the Lakey one is so small and the thing is so kind of narrow, it can stick sometimes, especially as you get wet and the thing gets a little bit grimy. That goes in easier, and I think the power I get from pulling with this strap to the wrist feels just as good in hand right now. Yeah, that's pretty good. We will see on the run. Pop these guys in. Easy enough there. All right, let's hike up and we'll see how that goes. All right, I just did my first climb up here. A couple things I noticed right away. With these, oh, well, first of all, these are adjustable. Unlike the Lakey poles, I feel like this may be a little large for my hand. I don't know what size I have. It says size medium. I don't know if they have a small. I may need a small. But this part that comes over the top, you do have an adjustment there. So I thought I tightened them up, but I think on the move there, they still feel a little loose. So it may be okay in a medium with this being a little loose, as long as I could tighten up this part right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. I think you can't really do it on the fly because this kind of has an over-under thing to keep it from slipping out, which I guess is a good thing. I don't think you would really adjust this sizing on the fly. You'd rather have it not slip and move. So I'll tighten that up a little bit there. Give me a better, it just felt a little bit loose on the poles there. Yeah, feels a little better. Yeah, that's a little tighter. I think it should be good with this size actually, because I don't want these crazy tight. You know, then it might get some rubbing around here. These actually feel good. Second thing I noticed right away is when I pulled the poles out as I was going up there, I'm comparing to Lakey because those are the only ones I'm aware of, and of course the only ones that I have that have this kind of strapping system as opposed to the loops attached to the poles. So when I took them out with the Lakey poles, you can kind of strap them right in on this side. But with this one, being that I have to go over the top, I felt I was going and it was hard to, I had to like bring the pole to the other side to easily loop it over. And then with the next pole, I had to swing them around like that to loop them over. It's kind of weird to think about. I have to try the Lakey poles again to see if I do the same thing to get it in, or if it's easier to keep the pole. We may be talking about a matter of like 1 or 2 seconds here, but I have to say they're really easy to get on. That was very nice. The Lakey poles, as I said, they can get a little sticky sometimes, and sometimes I have to slam them to get them in, and my first pole stroke. And these are pretty, you know, obviously this is a much easier target because the loop is so much bigger. So I have to say that was nice. And also, if it does take a little extra time kind of swinging them around you'll get used to that pretty quick. I mean, I'm doing that pretty quick there. So I think you would get used to that. And you know, the self-deploying aspect, once I took it out, not having to, it was really nice. Like, they popped right out and then I was strapping them on. So even if I have to take a little longer possibly to strap them into the wrist straps, the fact that they're already deployed, that's saving, I think, more time than you're losing maybe trying to get these on. I'm pretty sure of that, because, you know, it takes you to pull them out and put the 3 things, line them up, and then, you know, lengthen them out and get the tension and set them. These pop right out and they're deployed, ready to go. So I'm just gonna pop these away right now. I haven't put them away on the run yet. I'm doing this while I'm standing still here. And pop these away. Oopsie, that one popped out because I wasn't holding it. So that's definitely something you have to pay more attention to when you're kind of putting them away. So put them away. head back down, and then we'll do another loop, maybe try some different things. Alright, so I tried to get some footage there. Don't have my drone today, so couldn't get on the run stowage, but I tried to run back towards the camera 3 successive times and stow the poles as I was getting closer and closer to the camera to see how quick I could do it. And yeah, definitely no problem stowing them, and I didn't use the straps, so they were still under popping open tension and not strapped down, so they wanted to pop open, and I had no issues getting them into each of those quivers behind me pretty quickly. This downhill after that race yesterday is not feeling too great. Got some more time, so I'm gonna head up the opposite ridge, maybe 2 or 3 rounds, and you know, call it a day for now. I got a good feel for these poles, so you know, get a little, I don't know if this is necessarily good recovery, but got something done. And I'm getting accustomed to these poles. I will need poles. That Heaven's Gate race is coming up in 13 days, and I will need poles for that. I don't know if I'll use these, if I can get comfortable enough with them in 13 days for that race. South facing on this ridge here, arrowleaf balsam root. Gonna pop a little earlier on this side. Pause for my little close-up over there on the other side. Went down to there, up and down a few times, then came up this way. I'm gonna call it a wrap for this first test today. Legs are feeling a bit worn out. Actually, my stomach is really rumbling. I think I burned the fire a bit hot yesterday, so I gotta eat a lot today. So first run, trying out these. I'm gonna have a full review, of course, more testing. Probably you might see them in other videos where I'm testing other stuff, so keep an eye out. I want to test them with the UltraSpire Alpha, the UltraSpire quiver, and my previous go-to, the Solomon custom quiver. I haven't hooked that up to another pack. I might try that on the Alpha pack. In 13 days at Heaven's Gate, I do think I'm gonna run in this vest because that's a 19-mile race. It's a little less body coverage. I don't think I need as much as the Alpha for that race. So I think if I got the fluids and a bunch of gels and stuff in there, depending on the weather, it'll be good to have the shell to pull in and out right up there. Although the Alpha does have a kind of small section that keeps the shell or jacket high. But this one's pretty nice, and I think it's a shorter race. You know, I don't have to carry a ton of stuff, just enough fluids, enough gels, and maybe a layer of gloves or whatever, depending on the weather. So we'll see if I use these poles. I gotta weigh them out. I'm sure my Lecky poles are lighter, but once I use these some more, see if, you know, it's pretty nice the way they pop out. Like, you can get them going pretty quick. It's just a matter, it does take a little more to put them away, but you know, you're gaining a lot of time just having them open by themselves, a lot of time. So it may balance out, or these may end up being quicker when you factor, you know, when you total up the deployment and the stowage. So we'll see. More videos to come over the next couple of weeks. Please like and subscribe. I am racing in 2 weeks up at Heaven's Gate. I'm gonna probably put together a recap video from the race to Roby Creek, which was yesterday. Just talk about training, talk about racing. I was in the mix at the front for a bit, you know, hopping around, so that may be something to talk about, and maybe something you want to hear about, you know, the dynamics of how it's different, you know, running up front like that. Last year I was kind of in no man's land in a section where nobody was close to me or behind me, and this time was a little bit different. So I'll talk about that in a recap video. Stay tuned for that. Have a good day out on the trails. Happy Easter if you know, get out today. Not too many people are out. It's a nice day. All right, see ya.